This is a valuable piece of evidence to add to your next level. AccuWeather has the sun rising and setting, and also the moon. So after this video, you will understand a lot of your whys.
International Space Station detects or finds source of weird blue jet lightning. Of course, we're talking about sprites and the blue jet lightning that leads up to it. You can see here how the blue jet lightning goes above the clouds to the Kármán line. You can see a halo at the Kármán line. I thought there was nothing at the Kármán line, folks. Why is there something showing? Why is it when we have sprites, they see a halo in some cases at the Kármán line, almost as if it bounces off something? And of course, this exotic type of upside down lightning called blue jet, right? You can see here into the stratosphere. This is back in 2019. They took this photo. Scientists finally got a clearer view of the spark that sets off an exotic type of lightning called blue jet. Blue jet zips upward through the clouds into the stratosphere, reaching altitudes up to about 50 kilometers in less than a second. So this is obviously the Kármán line is at about 100 kilometers. This thing reaches about halfway up. Then you see sprites after that, and then you see the halo effect, which of course doesn't make a lot of sense because I thought the Kármán line was simply where the atmosphere ends. What's there? What is it reacting with? Why does it make a halo? Almost like it's bouncing off something. Here's a infamous sprite image. They show the blue jet right here. You can see the sprite. You can see the halo effect again. What is it reacting with? Why is there a halo? It doesn't even make sense. This is at a different time frame with that exact blue jet lightning from 2019. You can see here a photo from off in the distance. You can see the, let me see if we can get a little closer. Actually, I can get it a little bit closer even than that. I can get way closer. You can see here, again, a sprite off in the distance. And there's some really amazing photos you can find. Here you go, yet another one, sprite. You see the halo again. And almost like there's something there, like, what is that? What is it that it's bouncing off of, right? Which is the question I've been asking for many years. What is that? I mean, I thought there was nothing there. There's literally nothing there. They tell me there's nothing there. It's just the Kármán line, no big deal, right? I believe I've proven it many times on video. I've shown a lot of cracks in the matrix. I'm showing you some here. I believe there is something above us. That's what I was showing you with that first image. Why does it make a halo at the Kármán line? There's actually a number of things I can show you about the Kármán line, but there's actually a lot we're going to get into. The Gegenschein, a lot of experiments that don't make sense, that they've explained away the results. Nikola Tesla was laughing at Einstein for him trying to explain away the results of experiments with mathematical garb. And my background's mechanical engineering. I aced all my calculus and all that stuff. That was the easy stuff, actually. Mathematics was the easy stuff. Actually, it was the engineering that was a little bit more difficult for me. Elon Musk also is an engineer. He can see this. I can see this. I really do believe we live in a simulation. You can see here something clearly at the Kármán line. This is the International Space Station. This is footage from the International Space Station. I do think they edit it. Some people mentioned in the comments that they are editing it. I do believe they actually do edit this. I don't think these stars are this easy to see in the background. They probably are doing a little bit of heightening and stuff like that, but this is part of the footage. This line right here at the Kármán line is noticeable in probably about half of the International Space Station footage out there. And mainly it's because of how the sun is shining through it so you can see it. And sometimes you can't see it because the sun is not shining correctly towards it. But there's clearly something there. Supposedly this is where our atmosphere ends. When the atmosphere ends, it gets thinner. it doesn't become a border. Why is there a border here? It doesn't make sense. If the atmosphere is thinning out, it should be fading, not making a line. You have a line here. It should be fading out. It should be like green fading into black, not a line. This is what I've been trying to say to people for a long time. Many years, actually, here on YouTube and other places. Mathematical mysteries, things that show you cracks in the matrix. Like I said, the movie from with Keanu Reeves in it. Mathematical mysteries, Foucault pendulum, and the eclipse. This is an unsolved mystery. We have many unsolved mysteries in science. They simply explain them away. Einstein explained away problems with ether via his theory of relativity in his publications that he put out, his peer-reviewed journals, all this kind of stuff, right? Well, what's interesting about the Foucault pendulum is the fact that they still have not solved this. They do not know why the Foucault pendulum changes directions during a solar eclipse. It makes literally no sense. Some were wondering if somehow the sun rays are affecting the Foucault pendulum. I know it's a ridiculous presumption, but they were getting very much to the point where they had nothing left. They were grasping at straws. They're like, what is causing this pendulum to change direction significantly during a solar eclipse? It literally makes no sense, because they believe the Foucault pendulum is showing the momentum of the Earth as it rotates around the sun and spins on its own axis. Mainly it's spinning on its own axis. So the Foucault pendulum is showing the rotation of the Earth. This is what they believe, okay? Because they believe it's gravitation induced. All right? My thoughts are it's not what they think it is. I think it's something different. And this is why they can't solve this. And the fact of the matter is, even in, I think it was in the 90s, it wasn't that long ago, it was in the 2000s or 90s, they even did a very deep underground experiment with the Foucault pendulum. They're like, okay, look, we can't understand why the solar eclipse causes it to move and change directions. Obviously, if it's based on the rotation of the Earth, it shouldn't change just because there's a solar eclipse. It makes literally no sense. So they're like, okay, let's just rule this out completely, the whole sun rays thing. And you're like, how can sun rays modify its direction? It doesn't even make sense. It was grasping at straws. They're like, there's got to be something to explain this away. So they did an experiment very deep underground with the Foucault pendulum, trying to prove that it, they're like, okay, if it was the sun rays, this completely cancels out the sun rays. Very deep underground during a solar eclipse. Let's say, let the thing roll. Let's see what happens. And guess what happened? It did it again. It didn't matter if they were underground, deep underground, didn't matter if they were above the earth, on the surface of the Earth. It literally didn't matter where they were at. The Foucault pendulum modified its direction during a solar eclipse, which makes no sense. It would indicate that at the very least, something electromagnetic, maybe something from the solar eclipse, is affecting the movement of the Foucault pendulum. Perhaps it is the rotation of the Earth moving the Foucault pendulum, but there is some other things that we're not understanding. Maybe it's something electromagnetic. Maybe it's all electromagnetic. Maybe they're misunderstanding what the Foucault pendulum is. Tesla said gravity is an electromagnetic force. This contradicts what a lot of people believe, right? But Tesla was all about science. He wasn't about explaining things away. This is the difference between Einstein and Tesla. This is why I like Tesla far more than Einstein. At any rate, so the idea was that, okay, so at the North Pole, the pendulum would appear to rotate a whole 360 degrees in a day. So the rate of the rotation of a Foucault pendulum is pretty constant at any particular location, but in 1954, during an experiment, a physicist named Maurice Alice got a surprise. His experiment lasted for 30 days. One of those days happened to be the day of a total solar eclipse. Instead of rotating at the usual rate as it did for the other 29 days, his pendulum turned through an angle of 13.5 degrees within the space of 14 minutes. This particularly surprising as the experiment was conducted indoors, away from sunlight. So there should have been no way the eclipse could have affected it. But in 1959, when there was another eclipse, Alias saw the exact same effect. Many people have questioned his results. Why should the eclipse have affected pendulum indoors anyway? So you get the idea. Within 14 minutes instead of, I think it's supposed to be an hour that it rotates that much, or a couple hours. But it was in 14 minutes, it rotated 13.5 degrees. And like I said, they've done this experiment many times and have gotten the same results, even deep underground. At any rate, so that is something that doesn't make sense. Fact of the matter is, we have, with the first thing I mentioned, the Kármán line. The fact is, there's some odd things that happen at the Kármán line. And you can see here on this graph, I can't fit it completely on the page, but you can see here, right at 100 kilometers where the Kármán line is, where we saw this line that's very evident and obvious in a lot of these International Space Station photos. You can see this line. Like I said, it doesn't make logical sense. It should be fading out because the atmosphere is getting thinner. But for some reason, it doesn't do that, right? And also at the same time, at that exact line where there's something that doesn't exist, they tell us nothing exists there, you see the temperature changes drastically. And let's see if I can get it on the screen a little bit better. Here we go. You can see at 100 kilometers, the temperature goes from negative 50 Celsius. We're talking extremely cold, maybe like Antarctica cold or maybe Alaska or whatever, to positive 500 degrees. Your oven at its highest range within 10 kilometers. We're talking like 8 miles, but 8 miles distance between those that distance of 8 miles, you go from Antarctica cold to your hottest temperature on your oven. Does that even make any sense? And it's probably even hotter than your oven, actually. I'm not even sure. I could calculate it out. It's pretty hot. Let's see. What would that be? Celsius. Because I'm not a Celsius guy, obviously. I'm Fahrenheit, living in America. My wife, she's from the Philippines. She would understand Celsius better. But 300 degrees Celsius is 572 Fahrenheit. So it's even more than I'm thinking. It's even hotter than your hottest setting on your oven. So you're going from Antarctica to beyond the hottest setting on your oven within an 8-mile stretch. Does that even make any sense? It makes literally no sense if you think about it. Unless there's something there. Unless there's a barrier potentially there. A crystalline structure, which is what I believe is there. And wouldn't that kind of fit what Elon Musk was saying? Wouldn't he maybe know that? Seeing he has SpaceX. He has to fly out in space with SpaceX. If anybody would know if something was there, it would be him. Maybe this is why he knows for a fact that we live in a simulation. Because things don't exactly add up right. There also was an operation called Fish, Bowl. Like we're almost in a fish bowl. Are we in a fish bowl? Maybe Elon Musk knows the answer to that question. I don't know. It's a good question to ask. Is there something up there? And there's actually a number of things that point to there being something up there, including the rainbow itself. The rainbow tells you something may be up there. I'll be getting into that later. Actually, this video is already getting long. I'm making a second version on my other channel, getting into all the rest here, folks. We're going to get into experiments and the Sagnac effect. Honestly, there's so many things I could talk about. This is absolutely hilarious here, what Nikola Tesla said about Einstein. Let's look at this really quick. Einstein's relativity work is a magnificent mathematical garb which fascinates, dazzles, and makes people blind. To its underlying errors, the theory is like a beggar clothed in purple, whom ignorant people, ignorant people take for a king. Its exponents are brilliant men, but they are metaphysicists rather than scientists. I agree wholeheartedly with Tesla here. I wonder why his work was sort of, canceled, removed, whatever you want to call it. Something happened with his work, right? Yeah, it's kind of interesting to me What is he saying here? Is he saying that our science is actually metaphysics instead of science? That's a good question, isn't it? We'll be exploring that more in my other video as well. Redshift can be explained another way. Not saying that these scientists may be correct. Maybe redshift is stars moving away from us. But there's also another explanation. And it has to do with that thing we saw in the beginning of this video. What is this barrier here? Why is this halo being created? If there is a crystalline structure here, it will cause redshift. If there's a crystalline structure here, it will better explain the rainbow. Why is it you can't make a rainbow inside your house without two polarizers? But outside, you can make a rainbow with one polarizer, the raindrop. Why is it the raindrop can make a rainbow? But inside your house, you can't do it with the light bulb in your room. It's a good question. Maybe because the sun is polarized light, while this light bulb is not polarized light. Maybe that's why you need two polarizers inside your house, while outside you don't need another polarizer, because there's one already up there. It's a crystalline structure above the earth. And I believe it's right here. Of course, it could be anywhere. It could be around the sun, it could be around the earth, it could be in between. We just don't see it because of the blackness of space. But I think it's here. My theory is it's at the Kármán line. Of course, some people think I'm this. But, of course, I'm trying to use science here. I'm trying to speculate. It's better than explaining away results, like so many scientists, Einstein, for example, did, according to Nikola Tesla. I'm not an expert here, folks, although I do have a science degree in engineering. I'm still not an expert, supposedly. I think Tesla might be a good expert to ask. He says Einstein is just making up mathematics, explaining away things, which is why I agree with him on that. Actually, we're going to get into it more over on my other video. There's even the eclipse. There's issues with the solar eclipse itself. I can get into that. There's also some interesting clips and photos of things near the sun that literally make no sense. What are these odd planet-like structures that seem to show up once in a while near the sun? What is that all about? And it's not like there aren't multiple images of these things. There's many. It's not one, it's not two, it's not five. They happen regularly. Every year there's like one or two. They don't have an answer. What are they? What is that? Why is there a large object near the sun? You know, it doesn't make a lot of sense. What is this thing hiding here in the background? What is that? Why does it look like something's siphoning energy off the sun? What is that? I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's a good question, but we'll be getting into all that in my other video. Kind of wondering what some of you guys think. Let me know in the comment section below, and thanks for watching.